Hello, welcome to another episode of Victor the Football Predictor. Well, I did a little bit better this round than I did the first. I'm not exactly sure what my record is, but I think it's about 2 or 3 above 500. So, not bad. Alright. In this session, the games aren't going to go in exact order like the other ones have, because there's some small bowl games that I want to get out of the way before I get into New Year's Day bowls and then BCS bowls. So, first game this session, we have Ball State and Tulsa in the GMAC Bowl. Ball State was one of the last undefeated teams in the nation, and I think they take that momentum into this one and knock off Tulsa. Ball State wins. Alright, next game we've got Buffalo and Yukon in the International Bowl, which is played up in Canada. Yukon's gonna win. Yukon. Alright. Now this next game is the first New Year's Day Bowl. I believe it's an 11 a.m. kickoff with the Gamecocks of South Carolina and the same Iowa Hawkeyes who knocked off Penn State. Should I pick this one? I think I'm going to take South Carolina. Since they played in the SEC, to get to this bowl through the SEC compared to the Big Ten, I think that speaks for their ability. And I think the Gamecocks take this one. Gamecocks. Alright. The second New Year's Day Bowl is probably, I think, going to be the best game of the day in the Capital One Bowl, which is usually a pretty good bowl game, with Georgia and Michigan State. Georgia had a disappointing season, based on their expectations for beginning of the year. Number one ranking to start the season off. Michigan State had a good year, quietly climbing up in the rankings. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be big hits, big plays. There are still a lot of athletes. I think Georgia takes this one and gets back on the right foot leading into next year, where they should have a very good team still. Georgia takes the Capital One Bowl. Alright. Second bowl game. Next New Year's Day Bowl, my Huskers taking on the Clemson Tigers in the Gator Bowl. This is Nebraska's first ever trip to the Gator Bowl, and only the second time ever playing Clemson, which they lost in the 1982 Orange Bowl. It doesn't have any effect on this game, just some stats. Some stats that might affect this game. Nebraska, 5 of the last 6 coming in. Clemson needed to win their last game just to be bowl eligible. Nebraska, incredible offense. Clemson, struggling defense. Nebraska, struggling defense, but Clemson, not as good as an offense as Nebraska. I think Clemson has a little more speed, but they're undersized. Nebraska has just enough speed to go with the size they have. They should pound Clemson and get the win in their first ever Gator Bowl. Nebraska finished the season strong. Alright. Next New Year's Day game, probably the worst matchup of the bowl season and the biggest snub I've ever seen, puts Ole Miss versus Texas Tech, the same team that was playing for a national title a few weeks ago and with a Heisman candidate. They're going to destroy Ole Miss. It's not even going to be a game. Graham Harrell lights up the scoreboard. Texas Tech in a romp in the Cotton Bowl. Alright. Next game. Now this isn't a New Year's Day game, but this is the last one before the BCS games, and I want to have a BCS special just for those games. So I have Kentucky versus East Carolina. We're starting off the season really strong. I think East Carolina keeps it going and wraps up their season with a bowl win. East Carolina. Alright, well, those are for all the other bowl games, but the ones that actually count are the BCS bowls. Those are coming up next. Alright, welcome back. As you can see, I changed the logos because this is the BCS games. These are the picks for the five biggest games of the whole season. Alright, first one, the Rose Bowl, which is a game people in my area are excited about. Penn State and USC. This is another Big Ten, Pac-10. I think everyone knows what's going to happen. USC is just too fast, too strong. And I'd be surprised if Penn State gets inside USC's 20-yard line. USC wins big, shows again that the Pac-10 is superior to the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is just, they're in a league of their own, alright, down by themselves. USC wins. Alright, next BCS game, probably going to be the least watched game, is Cincinnati, Virginia Tech. Cincinnati, they had to go because they won the Big East. I mean, they had to be in there. Virginia Tech, however, won the ACC, which is a conference with not a lot of flashy teams, but only 2 teams didn't make a bowl game. So it actually was a pretty good conference. CV Tech played this year against Nebraska. I think they're a much better team than, well, not a much better team, but good enough to get a BCS win. Cincinnati isn't. VTech wins the Orange Bowl. Virginia Tech. Alright. Now, this BCS game is going to be complete snore. No one's going to watch. Everyone knows who's going to win. Utah, which is the now the only second undefeated team, and Alabama. You got to be kidding me. A paper team in a BCS game shouldn't be there. Alabama's going to win big and get the monkey off their back going into next year. Alabama. Alright. To go with the terrible BCS games, we have the Fiesta Bowl with a 2-loss Ohio State team, which got in over Texas Tech, and Texas, who actually lost to Texas Tech. Now, you can't tell me that people would much rather see Texas Tech play Texas again in the BCS Bowl. Well, money speaks here. That's why Ohio State got in. It's not going to be a good game. Texas is going to crush Ohio State. Longhorns, big. Alright, now this is the game. This is a national title game. Number 1, number 2 matchup with the Florida Gators and Oklahoma. I could talk for hours about this game. It's going to be great. It's going to be a high scoring. Basically, you can make an NFL team out of these 2 rosters and be successful. I think Florida is going to win. I think this game is going to come down to who has a defense who can slow down the other team's offense just enough. And I think Florida has that. Oklahoma, for a while, was giving up a lot of yards to the Big 12 teams. And not great Big 12 teams, like Texas. And I believe Baylor put up a lot of yards on them. But still going to be a great game down there in South Florida. I think, in fact, it's South Florida helps Florida out a little bit. A little home field advantage. But I think the Gators win and continue the style of the Heisman winner struggling in a national title game. Florida wins. Okay, those are all my picks for this season. I'm done. I have no more picks. After the national title game, I will have one last episode this year, going over my games, the bowl games, and just wrapping it up, and bringing closure to the first season of my show. And as usual, until then, thanks for watching Victor Football Predictor. See you next time.